All right, so here's where we're at now. So my attempt at aluminum welding didn't go quite the best. Found out several lessons learned. Fit up and cleanliness is definitely a requirement with aluminum. It does nothing but want to contaminate, spit sputter, cause pitting, you name it. So this is how it turned out. Anywhere where you see where it looks like it is blobbed up, it's because that's what it is. I had leaks there, I had to go back. So this corner, here, etc. These long runs actually did pretty good, and I actually managed to do a complete run without stopping. I had to come back and just kind of touch a couple of areas, here, up top here, and then like there I had to add a little bit where I had a little pinhole. This side over here is not the prettiest either. Long run's decent. These corners were where I had huge gaps. So I actually welded these on the inside. I welded them on the outside, welded them on the inside, came back, and the outside was way worse than what it is now, which this isn't pretty. But I ended up smooth grinding that down, which is why you see the grind marks, and then ran a bead over the top again. But yeah, it's not pretty, but it holds air. So it'll do, because this is, like I said, it's temporary, it's not staying. You can see I found a spot to put my overflow. That was 2 riv nuts here, and just popped it there. The downside is I actually reinstalled these horns. The one actually reinstalled them probably twice so far. Oh, we stop. And I'll be reinstalling the one over here again because, well, this overflow tank hit it. This is actually the cable for the fan, or for the horn. So I've got to find a place to put it. I don't know where. I'm not rewiring this length again, so it has to go within that length as far as it'll reach. So for the time being, one horn's gonna do. What I still have to do, I have to wire up the electrical side of the AC. The condenser's mounted. I'll go over why this is in the way in just a few. I actually spent a decent amount of time making this plate behind that you can't even see. I put 2 breather holes in the top so it can help pass air through, which you can't make out at all, but mounted the top there. The bottom is, you can't see because one of the AC hoses is there and I don't want to focus for shit. But I've got my high pressure line here. Low pressure line's not mounted yet. I'm waiting on some fittings. I did get one in today. So come to find out, the one downfall of ordering my cheap China kit is I found out AC hoses come in different shapes and sizes. Not only like sizes, obviously, like number 6, 8, 10, and 12, but there's actually a standard wall and a, what they call, I think, reduced barrier wall. It's like thicker wall right here, which is what the number 10 hose is that came with the kit, which only the number 10 was. Yeah, so that's reduced barrier. This is normal number 10. So needless to say, all the fittings, wherever they're at, I think they're down in one of these boxes, but all the fittings I had for the number 10 line, because I had to order longer hose, none of them will fit the hose I ordered, because they all are the reduced barrier size. So I ordered some standard fittings, which I'm waiting on a few more to come in. But along with doing that, I've had to change up things because honestly, I don't really know how I want to run this number 10 line. My original plan was to kind of route it how this one is. You probably can't see it with the tire here on, but let's see. Yeah, there it is. So you can see it runs up there, and it just runs the length of the fender, tucked in, and then it's zip tied, which you can't see. Well, you can sort of see it a little bit, but it's zip tied right there up this headlight bucket, and it just wraps around the corner. Feeds around here. It has a hose clamp down in the middle there, which is actually where the bottom support is for the condenser. Wraps around behind the intercooler tank, which is down under there, which you can't see, and then just loops up and goes to there. So that's one continuous run. The number 10 I thought about doing a continuous run, but being that this is reduced barrier and it bends fairly easy, this non-reduced barrier doesn't really bend for shit. Stiff as hell, which I guess I could have gone back. The simpler thing would have been to go and buy reduced barrier hose, the length that I needed. Didn't do that, but anyways. So the idea was to bulkhead it, because I have a couple of bulkhead fittings. The problem is I didn't necessarily want to go through the apron. I didn't mind hacking up this front core support, because eventually, somewhere down the road, I'll end up replacing this core support with the Mustang Zephyr style that's flat. That way I can bring my radiator forward more. I got plenty of clearance up here. Well, not so much now that I moved the intercooler forward, but like I said, this intercooler's not staying. Later on, I'll do a different design. It'll probably be a thicker core, shorter, and it'll mount down low, where it'll breathe through this lower valance, however you say it, off of like the Shelby style. But yeah, so I didn't mind mounting stuff on this. The downfall is this intercooler is all kind of in the way to the bulkhead. There's not enough room down there to make the turn. Like even if I bulkhead through, the fitting ends up coming out to like here. It just sticks out way too far. So my thoughts now are to still end up drilling through the apron down here, down low maybe, where it's kind of out of sight. Run this down, bulkhead through, come out underneath the fender, and I'm thinking looping it where the line will run roughly along this valance. And I can use the lower intercooler bounce for hose clamps and clamp it to the bottom and run it underneath the bumper and then loop it around by this horn. Hopefully the horn won't get in the way. My luck, I'll end up having to remount that horn yet again. I'm about to just order some of those round Hellas like you see on imports and just throw them somewhere else, because the main problem I have with mounting these is the way the tabs for the ground and the positive lead are on the back. It kind of affects how you can clock them, since the horns of these are snail horns and they actually have a horn that's direct, like loops around and then points. So it kind of gets in the way of how you mount them. I thought about putting them like right here, cover up these big holes I cut, which I did that for two reasons. One, I got tired of coming back and trimming a little bit more to make this intercooler fit where I wanted it, before I finally decided to just move it way down low. And then secondly, because this engine bay gets really hot and this motor seems to run hot, I cruise around like 200 degrees on 180 thermostat. It's got brand new coolant, a lot more, well, right now it's a 50-50 mix that I bought pre-mixed, but before it was more water than anything, and it's got water wetter in it as well. It still wants to run on the hot side. I'm gonna mess with timing and see if that will actually help it. I'm thinking maybe I'm not putting enough timing in it and that's why it's wanting to run hot. But my oil temps are also on the high side, so that kind of makes me wonder if the timing is a factor. I need to get my IR gun and check like my header temps and stuff like that. But anyways, so I considered mounting them here, do something with the horns, don't know. We'll figure that out later. But right now it's one and done, and when the fittings come in for the AC, I'll start figuring out how I'm gonna bulkhead through and see if I can round it under the valance. But on to why this is here. So, I don't know if you got a good look in the engine bay when I showed it a second ago, but got the compressor mounted. The shims that came with it, I ended up having to go back and put 2 washers on top of that because it still didn't kick it out far enough. Luckily, I was smart enough to not only check it with a straight edge, but I also turned the motor over a couple times just to see how the alignment was, and it instantly jumped the belt off the front. So I had to kick it forward some more with the washers. But anyways, the AC mount came out decent. I like it. This threaded rod really doesn't have a whole lot of play to it. It probably should have been a little bit longer, because it is, to get this belt on and off, you practically have to pull this loose. You can't really thread it out. Maybe that's because my belt's not the right size. Who knows, maybe it needs to be a little bit longer of a belt. But anyways, the valve cover flip. I previously worried about putting these breathers in the back because I needed to have clearance for this intake pipe here. I drove it to my dad's house in Bay St. Louis. I'm in Gulfport. It is about a 40-minute drive roughly. Interstate, 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back. Checked it both times when I got there, when I got home, 0 oil. And I got in the boost a couple of times. So I'm only on low boost. I'm, 5, 6, 7 pounds, something like that, I think. I'm around 6 pounds. But it's not blowing oil out right now. So I'm happy. So I don't have to buy new valve covers yet. But on to why this is mounted. So on my way home, I had my first mishap with these freaking hood pins letting loose, or at least with one. Luckily, this one held. So I didn't have a catastrophic windshield crushing, hood destroying bad day. Funny thing is, it seems like this one's been the one that's been wanting to hang up and not release sometimes when I'm opening the hood. This side just let loose. I happen to be driving, and here, I'll kind of lock it down so it can, there we go. So this side's just doing this while I'm driving. I'm seeing it flap around, and I immediately hit the flashers and pull off. So I contacted them. They supposedly have a lifetime warranty on them. And of course, all the instructions tell you these are not meant to replace your hood latch, and they do that for safety reasons, I already know. They don't want a lawsuit on them because you got in a wreck and died or killed people because their hood pins failed. That's why these are sold as more or less additional safety / looks more or less. I wanted them for security, and 2, because at the time I couldn't fit a hood latch. Now, since I've dropped my intercooler lower, my hood latch fits. So I'm reinstalling it. I don't have the supports for this, and it is bolted through this front, which is also the mount for this. So when it moves, it flexes that. I don't know if you can see that real well, but yeah. I thought about maybe making a brace to go down to this, and then I also considered buying some tubing and tapping it and welding it underneath here and just running a bolt down through each side to bolt to the intercooler. Neither of which I'd really like, because like I said, this intercooler is temporary. I don't want to really put a whole lot of work into it. To be honest, probably the tubing was a quicker fix than making a bracket to go from there to there, unless I do a like aluminum strap, and aluminum's not really going to give it some solid support. The most support I think would be the bolt through the bottom, and just putting the bung like towards the front right here. Might do that, might not, I don't know. We'll see how it works with just the latch, how it is. I'm probably going to trim these tabs off because I think they look like crap hanging off since they don't actually have anything that's mounting to them. Normally you have the front grill. I might see if there's a way I can mount the front grill possibly and see how it looks. I don't know. I'll play around with it. But the latch is over there under the bench. I don't know if you can make it out right there. Painted it. I'll mount it later, test fit, latch it, and I'll have my old latch back. Something else I noticed, it didn't even occur to me. The actual latch piece that hit before was these kind of guide prongs in this safety catch. I didn't really think, this is the safety catch. I don't necessarily need that because it's got hood pins and this latch. So I don't think I really needed the safety catch. I probably could have cut this off before and made it fit. Anyways, regardless, I trimmed it down some. It fits, I tested it. We'll mount it up. I'll run this and that. This side did let go on me twice while driving. After the second time, I decided to get the key and lock the hood pins to see if that would help. It didn't come up again after that. So maybe that's the kicker, is I just need to keep them locked. Which, funny thing is, when I first installed them, I was doing that every time as an added safety measure. Not so much as I feared them letting go on their own, but I worried that some kid or something would come up and just push the button while it was parked and I wouldn't notice it. And then I'd drive it and yeah, bad day. So anyways, I'll get the hood latch put on tomorrow, next day, whenever it dries, cures up good. That's mounted, plumbed, this overflow. The AC, I borrowed the vacuum pump gauges, bought the coolant. Like I said, I'm waiting on 2 fittings that show end of the week to finish that. And then I still have my buddy's crimp tool. I need to get back to him as soon as I finish that number 10 line. And yeah, it should be good after that, as far as ready for cruising for the most part. So, I don't have the loopty-swoopty, intercooler lines anymore. They just go straight through to the turbo right there with a 90, straight back, up and in. I love that. It seems to build boost even faster now, and it seems to build a little bit more boost than it did before, which kind of makes sense. It's less volume to compress it in, something like that. Math, science, equations and whatnot. Yeah. So, yeah, wiring. That's the only other thing I got to do. The way I think I understand these trinary switches to work is they're kind of like a pressure relay switch. When it closes, blue connects to blue, black connects to black. If someone wants to confirm that for me, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I got a little instructions thing that actually says that the blue is ground and the black is to the compressor. I don't know if that really matters. I'm pretty sure it's just a switch that closes both sides. But anyways, yeah. Is there anything else? I think that's it. Yeah, I guess that's it. I don't think I have anything else to talk about. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and check back again next time when I'm hopefully cruising in some cool air. All right, guys, later.